Hey, what's up YouTube? This is Rory Reid from RoryReidArt.com. Back again with another video for you today. Today we're going to discuss some of the ins and outs of a new piece that I did. It's a quick landscape study with a new concept that I've been playing with that I want to introduce into my workflow in order to create a new series that I'm going to do. So it's basically just a landscape with a tree, and then we're going to substitute the foliage or the leaves on the tree with clouds. So not the most unique idea, but I wanted to see if I could invent a new way to portray it, and using a more semi-realism style, and just create new worlds. It's going to be part of an ongoing series called Conjured Landscapes that I've been doing, where I just think up landscapes and execute them relatively quickly, just to see, it's just sort of like a brain dump. That's the basis behind the series that I'm doing. So this video is going to be dedicated to the first piece that I did with this newer concept in mind. And we're going to go ahead and jump right into the time lapse. I'll do a voiceover as well as we do in all our other videos, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So let's jump right in. So jumping right in, guys, we have an 8x10 canvas here, a little small stretch canvas. I'm going to use a round brush now with some brown that I mixed myself, which is just, basically orange darkened down. So you take a bit of red, bit of yellow, darken it down with some black till you get to a brownish color, and then you can play with it, desaturate it with some greens, etc., etc. I ran out of raw umber, so I had to improvise and just mix some brown. Putting in the horizon line there now at the top was a little too high, so we dropped it back down, and now we are, we have the basic structure of the landscape and what we're going to do. So mixed up some of this blue, turquoise blue color, and we're going to drop that in, doing just normal landscape stuff. It's going to be a little bit darker at the top and a little bit lighter closer to the horizon line. Did want to lean this turquoise blue though more to the blue side as opposed to the green, and so eventually we lighten it up even more than you see now. This is just the first layer, and as you know, if you've watched any of my previous videos, we like to add multiple layers in our pieces. So dropping in some more paint now with the palette knife. Using a palette knife is a good way to get a thick layer on. I'm going to take some lighter values now and drop that in near the horizon, and then we blend up a little bit to get a nice even mix, or a nice even blend, going all the way to the top of the canvas. That's the fun part about small painting, man. You can get everything covered relatively quickly, as opposed to the larger pieces where it takes a lot more elbow grease to cover stuff up, or cover the white parts of the canvas up. Dropping in this little bit of water now. Like I said, it's going to be sky, water, and then the strip you see in the middle there is going to be a strip with land, and we're just going to add a little tree. Once again, this was just a quick piece. I like to do these small studies just to dip my toes in the water, so to speak, before I invest a lot of energy, money, and paint into painting a bigger piece. And with a lot of these small studies, I don't flesh the idea all the way out. I flesh it out about 50%, and then once I grab the idea and I can visually picture how I would finish it off on a bigger piece, then I just leave it right there, because there's really no need to waste more time. But this is a good way to practice and get stuff worked out mentally and literally as well. Putting another layer now on the sky. Mixed up some brown color, some of the brown color now. Guess you can call this more of a burnt umber, I guess, as opposed to raw. It's a little bit more reddish. And so we drop that layer in now. Get a nice small little strip of land. And now we hope to, you know, I saw that the saturation was a bit too much, so I added in some blue to contrast with the orange from the brown color. You know, we mixed red and yellow, which makes orange, and then darken it down with black to the color you saw there before. And to desaturate that a bit and make it a little bit less colorful, I just dropped a hint of blue in there to mute it down or gray it out a little bit, because you know blue is a complementary color to orange, so mix those together you get like a gray or a neutral color. And so you see it here now, it's coming together. Got a nice little edge on the land mass there in the middle, which leads down into the water. And we're, you know, crossing some of the edges over just to give it a more loose feel. Been doing that a lot lately with my pieces. Aiming now to lighten the horizon line to match a little bit closer with the water itself. Give it a nice, beautiful feel now, man. Love the loose look. When I first started painting, you know, I went more for sharp lines and more realism, but as the years have gone by, I've come to appreciate the loose brushwork a bit more. And that's one of the benefits you just saw there with acrylic paint. Accidentally touched my brown in the sky, just wet a piece of paper towel and wiped it off. Because the bottom layers dry so fast, you know, you can always just wipe off any brand new layer you put on gently, and it, you know, it'll be just like using an eraser. Drop it in now the underlying structure for the tree, using a darker value of that brown color we mixed, along with a liner brush, and we're just fleshing out some branches here and there. No real rhyme or reason, just doing it in our style that we're accustomed to. And now we're going to attempt to drop in the reflection as well to let everyone further know that this is water. So we just try to generally judge or drop in the tree opposite to what it is on the land. And you know, you can do this loosely because water, you know, we're going to give it the indication that it's moving on the surface, so you know, it's okay if it's a little choppy or blurry, etc., etc. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be a perfect mirror to the tree on the land. So we drop the bottom part of it in there. Aiming to darken it down a little bit more. And I really like this aesthetic, man. The blues coupled with the browns. Really peaceful, beachy type vibe. Very relaxing to look at. Doing a bit of cleanup on the palette now. And so the next step for what we were going to attempt to accomplish was to drop in our clouds. Now the general idea I was going with was to find the shape of the cloudscape that I wanted and sort of overlay it onto the tree. And so that's what we did for this piece. Other ideas I had when I was thinking up the concept was to use a example of a regular tree and then shape the clouds to the formation of the leaves on the tree. So I might try that in the future as well. But for this one, we just made a random cloudscape with a wispy type of vibe that, you know, was blowing to the right there and trailing off. And so we decided to go for that for this one. Now we're trying to lay the clouds on the branches to indicate that there are, you know, the branches moving through them, piercing the clouds, etc., etc. And this is the more saturated value that I'm using, or the saturated color that I'm using, this pinkish color here. And we use that as a bottom foundation just to get the overall shape. Then we lighten the value with some white and then go over the top, do a bit of blending to get the smooth kind of cloud feel. And we just drop the highlights in on the side of the cloud, the right side, so to speak, just to indicate that the light source is coming from, you know, right to left. Leaving some of the ones in the background as well, leaving some of the clouds in the background, or on the back side of the tree, I should say, leaving some of those a little less highlighted, just to give some variety. So in the later stages, we're gonna mix up some darker values as well for the clouds, as well as some lighter values to stretch that contrast spectrum even more. So there you see we added some of the darker value on the shadow side in some of the little cloud formations, and then as we go on, we will put the highlights on the opposite sides. And as I discussed in the intro, these colors are very highly saturated, which you know, works. But for the bigger pieces that I'm going to do, I'm going to go for a hint more realism. So I'm going to add some browns into that sky there to give it a more natural feel. Even though this one does look pretty good, I might, if I do say so myself. But we're just going to go for a more overall nature colors throughout the piece, as opposed to these punchy saturated colors that we have now. But it's not like I prefer one over the other. I think both of them will look great. So I'll make pieces with the high saturation and then some with the more desaturated natural values. Just depends on how I'm feeling that day, you know what I mean? It's good to have variety. It's good to try new things and broaden your horizons as far as painting is concerned. So just doing a bit more work now on the clouds. Still could have gone a little bit lighter. And perhaps what I'll do in the future as well is just go for a more grayed out cloud formation and then add in my colors later, as opposed to just mixing. So instead of mixing this pink color, what I would do is just mix a grayscale and then just glaze over it. Or maybe not even glaze, just lay over it loosely and blend to get like a transparency effect, and that should give it even a hint more of a realism style going forward. Just going over some of the finer branches now as well, fleshing those out with a liner brush just a little bit, adding some highlights on the tree trunk as well. And you see it's already coming together, man. This was a pretty quick piece. I think it only took me like an hour maybe. Small canvas as well, 8 by 10 inches. And you know, pretty cool, pretty decent idea. I liked it. I like the way it turned out. So in the future, you know, when I play around with the color palette, we can have some green versus red, you know, green skies, red clouds, and purples, yellows, then anything else like an analogous color scheme, like reds into purples, into blues, all that kind of thing. So we're gonna flesh this out, get some nice color schemes going. But these are just nice quick paintings, man, to exercise the muscle. It's a good change up from some of the bigger pieces I'm doing now. I'm doing a couple, I have like a series of 9 elaborate landscapes planned of the Tampa Bay area where I'm from, and those have been taking me a minimum of 50 hours each to complete. So doing a quick one like this from a different subject matter, not really a cityscape, no buildings or anything like that, just a natural, quick, easy landscape, is a great change up, man. It's a great way to prevent burnout. Just paint something fun, something quick, so that you can get that sense of accomplishment, as opposed to, you know, fighting in the trenches of a giant piece 50, 60, 70 hours in. So that's a good way I would advise to you know, switch up the program. So I will be alternating between my big landscapes that I'm currently working on and doing some of these smaller pieces, you know, 8 by 10, 11 by 14, 16 by 20 inches. I'm going to throw some of these in there just to get more pieces done. I'm going to aim to do one of these per week, and then spend the majority of the other time on the bigger pieces that I'm doing. Currently coming to the end on my second large piece for the series this year as well, of the University of South Florida, Tampa campus. For those of you who are following me on Twitch, you can see that happening live usually every day, or every weekday I should say. So now I decided to add in a bit of abstraction, just stretch out some of the forms a bit, blur them out, give it a little bit of character. Love this aesthetic as well. Definitely gonna incorporate this in all, if not you know, most of the pieces. Really like this kind of stuff, man. And we still have to do the reflection, well, not the reflection, but the highlights in the water as well, which we're just gonna do loosely as well. As I said, we're not gonna flesh this out too fully. This is a great space to leave this, so we're just taking a higher, a lighter value, and just going over the top with some water wavy formations, putting them in randomly, trying to, you know, not stick to any specific script, giving a pretty decent look. And what I did here also as well is drop in the reflections for the clouds, and as you can see, I did not keep the same form as the clouds on the land. The formation was the same, or the layout I should say was the same, but the actual cloud formation, I literally just used the flat brush and did one brush stroke just to indicate it there. So, you know, switched it up from normal. If you look, it's just, I just took the flat brush, looked where the cloud was on the land, mirrored it in the water, and just drew one brush stroke so it looks like a rectangle or a formation of rectangles. Pretty neat. If I was doing this in a more fleshed out, bigger, on a bigger canvas, then I'd probably take the time to, you know, mirror the formations as well and make it look exact. You know, it's all artist you know, inspired. It's whatever you want to do. For this one, I just want some abstract elements mixed in with some realism elements, mixed in with a bit of fun, so we just left it like that. It'll be a talking point for anybody that looks at the piece. You know what I'm saying? Oh, he just did a brush stroke for the reflection. That's interesting. Yada yada yada. You know, like to switch it up, man. Do what you feel. Do what you're inspired to do in the moment. That's my kind of style. So we're definitely coming towards the end of the piece now. I think this is where we decided to leave it. I'm just dropping in some very light shadows there, just to indicate that the clouds are over the land mass. And so we just mixed darker value, slightly darker value from what we already have in the land, and just laid that in. So coming towards the end now, we use the liner brush with our lightest values and just skim over the top a bit. And that is that. I think this is where we decided to leave it. As I said, painting time was approximately an hour or so, or maybe a little bit more, maybe an hour 30, hour 45, and that's it. So it definitely was not too long, and that's always a good sign, man. When you can knock out a good piece in a short amount of time, that's the that's artist goals. So up your production is always the move. So there it is, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. The final piece was called Landscape Study number 8. Loved how it turned out. Improvements to make for the future will be I'll do a bit more natural colors. Basically, I just used the paint right out of the tube, doing a few mixes here and there, value changes here and there. So I'll incorporate more natural colors in the future, some browns and stuff to get a more, some more natural blues, natural browns, natural greens, that kind of thing. And we'll up the realism a notch for all the future pieces. But this was a great learning lesson for me, and so jumping into the pieces in the future, I hope to make a lot of improvements and get some nice looking pieces out of it. So thank you guys again for watching. I am Rory Reid from RoryReidArt.com. Be sure to check out all my links down below, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace. So here it is in all its glory, Landscape Study 8. Really like this one. It gives me hope for the future pieces. In executing it in that short a time, was great. Guys, follow my Teespring store. It's teespring.com/store/RoryReidArt. Got some logo tees and some cool stuff over there. Check it out if you so choose. Also follow me on all social media. All my links are down below. I'm on YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, and TikTok. Again, you can find all the links below. Like and subscribe to the channel as well if you have not. And like I said, I'll catch you guys in the next one. God bless.